Hello, right, this is part 2 of like a mini series I'm doing on how I work out my running costs. So part 1 was how to calculate miles per gallon and then from there work out your fuel cost per mile. It's obviously one of the key figures, but this one is going to be on fixed costs. So I'm going to go through the difference between fixed costs and variable costs, and how I've calculated my fixed costs, and how I work it out as per working day. Should say this is not obviously financial advice. I'm not qualified to give financial advice or anything like that. I'm just doing this to share how I do it, and any comments please add them below. So anything you think I've missed out or something I could do better, well, for that's partly why I'm doing it. I hope also it helps people work out their costs and have an idea of what their costs are to get into this kind of business. So that's the basic intro. Right, so here we go. So it's all very high budget. I film all this on my phone and edit it on my phone. So it doesn't take long. Other people do really fancy vlogs and stuff, but if I couldn't do it all on my phone, I just wouldn't have time. So here we go. So you got your running costs, and that for me is broken into two different areas. So you got your fixed costs, which I'm going to go through how I work it out today. When I worked out my fixed cost to do this, it actually worked. When I actually worked it out, it was more than I thought it was. So it shows the value of working out your costs. So you got fixed costs and variable costs. So we're going to go through what fixed costs is today. Variable costs is obviously the big variable cost is your fuel. The more you use the van, the more that cost will be. The more you drive the van, the more miles you cover, the type of driving you do. Second biggest variable cost is the price of the van. So vans lose money, so you have to, and the more you use a van, the less it's worth, basically. And then you've also got variable costs like servicing, wear and tear, tyres, brakes, all that kind of stuff. That will all come in the variable costs, which I'll do in future videos. Today is just fixed costs. So slide 2. So fixed costs, I've gone through and I've worked out what I think are some of the main fixed costs. So you've got one of the biggest fixed costs will be a vehicle insurance. So got LH or HR there. So LH is light haulage. HR is like hire and reward. That covers you for everything, including multi-drop. So that's what I've got. I've got HR. GIT, get insurance, goods in transit insurance, to cover the goods while they're in your vehicle. Public liability insurance, something that you don't necessarily have to have, but it's worth having. It's quite cheap. So that's public liability. If when you're out of the van, say you're taking the goods into a property on your sack truck and you barge in to knock something over or damage something, that's what public liability covers you for. Damage to people, injuries to people. So other insurances, add-ons, so you might have a few extras on there. I've got a few of them, I'll go through them. So you might have breakdown cover. Obviously it's pretty essential really, this kind of work. You're going to cover loads of miles, just for your peace of mind. Breakdown cover. Vehicle tax or road fund license, as they like to call it. That's not a very big cost really compared to the rest of them. So you've got accountants and professional fees. Generally, if you use an accountant maybe to do your end of year tax return, that'll be a cost. Maybe if you don't do your own books, I do all my own books, and I probably won't use an accountant, but I'll come on to that. MOT, so it depends on the age of your van. If your van's over 3 years old, you're going to have to get MOTs, and that's once a year, so that's a fixed cost. Whether you do 60,000 miles in a year or 10, you're only going to have one MOT. Bank charges, business accounts. So if you've got a separate bank account for to keep your business dealings separately, like I have, you might have a bit of a fee there. Again, it's quite a small fee. So subscriptions, etc. So my big subscription is obviously the Courier Exchange, the CX. But if you're working it all the time, it's a very small amount really. I have used other subscriptions like Road Warrior when I was doing the food parcel multi-drop, but that was like £10 a month, £9.50 a month. I used it for 2 months, so I've not really included that. It's just ad hoc, but my main subscription is CX. So that is basically the breakdown of my fixed costs. Come on, zoom. So have a look at that. Do you think there's anything I've missed there? Right, slide 3. So that's basically my fixed costs, how I've categorized them on that little bubble diagram. So I've got fixed costs. I'm just going to go through what I've actually paid here for myself. So I'm sure this will be interesting for anyone who's currently doing this line of work to compare, or if you're thinking of getting into business, what kind of costs are involved you need to take into account. So first one is your vehicle insurance. So I pay per year £2,525.50. That's fully comp, unlimited miles, hire and reward. So that covers me, it's not just like haulage, it covers me for multi-drop, everything. Doesn't cover me for removals. Removals on most policies is separate. It's like an add-on and it's quite a lot, and I really don't want to do removals. I only ever do removals for family or really close friends, and then they just give me a bit of money towards diesel. It's a diesel money job. That's why I never do removals. And if you do get asked by people, acquaintances, can you help them move house, you just say no, I'm not insured, sorry. Goods in transit and public liability insurance. So mine at the moment is £170. That's a combined policy. I should have said my vehicle insurance I'm with, let's go back to vehicle insurance. So vehicle insurance is with Business Choice Direct. Like I say, they were about £2.5 I tried 3 others. I got 2 more quotes. One of them didn't even want to quote me. But the other 2 are around the £4 mark, and that's paying outright. If I wanted to pay monthly or installments, it would have worked out at more like £3. So it'd be an extra £500 a year to pay in installments. So that's one of the advantages of being in a situation like I am, where you can tend to pay things outright and buy the van outright. Using my savings. So goods in transit, public liability insurance, it's at 170. I can't remember how many million public liability insurance it is, but it's pretty standard. Goods in transit is £10,000 for doing like CX type work. If I ever do multi-drop with the likes of Amazon, Yodel again, it covers me up to £25, this particular policy. I'm sure that's with CoverSure, and I was recommended them by someone. Pretty good. Insurance add-ons, I've got 190 on there, so that is legal cover. I'm also covered for if I have a fault accident. So if I crash into someone and my van's off the road or crash into something, they provide a van for up to 2 weeks. And there's something else, I can't remember what. Not sure I went for all. Breakdown cover for myself is 0 because it's a new van under warranty. I get RAC cover as standard. I've used it once so far when I had an AdBlue fault. Vehicle tax, road fund license, as you now call it, 260 for my van. So you can check that online quite easily if you're not sure. Professional accountancy fees. At the moment, I do all my bookkeeping myself. The more you can do yourself, obviously, the lower your costs, the more you're going to earn, basically. But I might consider using an accountant if I can find one who's experienced in this line of work. I don't just want to use a general accountant who won't understand, the specific tax requirements for this kind of work. But more on that in the future. Bank charges, I use a separate bank account, HSBC business bank account, which is £5.50 a month, a calendar month. So if you times that by 12, it's 66. So that's an annual charge you can cause. Subscriptions, so £742.20. That is for my CX membership, which is the main one I've got. I use the other subscription like Road Warrior, but that was only for a couple of months. I've not bothered including that. Depends what if I ever go back to doing lots of multi-drop again, I might use that again. So that was for 12 months. They gave me a bonus 13 month, but I've just divided by, well, I've just taken that as 12. So that comes to my annual fixed costs, £3,953.70. So that's my fixed costs. And then what you need to do then, or the way I've done it, is to work out how much that is per working day. You need to decide how many working days you're going to do a year. So if you work off a 5-day week, 52 weeks in a year, I've said I'm going to work for 48 weeks of a year, which is quite high, higher than like you'd work if you were pay as you earn through somebody. Bearing in mind there are 8 public holidays, bank holidays in a year, so 4 times 5 is 20, so another 12 days on top of the bank holidays. So working days, 48 times 5 is 240. Work that down. Fixed cost per day is quite simply, I'll take that away now, 390, so it's your fixed cost divided by your working days, so £3,953.70 divided by 240 working days works out at £16.47 per working day fixed costs. So I'm just going to round that up and work off £17, because there will be something else I've missed off there, or maybe I don't have a bit less working days than 240. So yeah, that's my working costs, so my fixed costs for working as an owner driver courier. Yep, so that's how I work out my fixed costs. So obviously in the future I go into variable costs, and I think the next video I'll do will be part of variable costs, which is I've done the cost of your fuel costs, which was part 1. The second biggest variable cost, which people seem to forget about, is the cost of your van, or the cost of your vehicle, whatever you use, because that's going to lose money over time, and you have to basically, in some point in the future, you have to replace it. So you need to be factoring in the cost of that. And then once I've done that, I'll probably do a video summarising the variable costs. I hope you've enjoyed this video, got something from it. That's how I've worked it out. Like I say, I'm no expert. It's not financial advice. Any comments, please put them below. Do you think I've missed something out? How do your costs compare? Be interesting to know how your costs compare to mine. Like I said, it's my first year doing it, so in terms of insurance it's going to be quite high, because if you've got standard no claims on the motor vehicle policy, it doesn't count for commercial policy, I found out. But my business choice director who I went with, we were able to take it into account without using it. I don't understand entirely, but they wanted proof of no claims for my normal car. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.